Hey folks, welcome to your weekly video. Sorry, I thought I posted this on the 4th and it didn't post. Um, so here it is again. So this week, what do you have due? You have a draft and peer review. So let's take a look at that. So I'm asking you guys to post your draft of SA2, right? You're making an original, right, innovative argument about TV, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. So you're going to post your draft there. You'll get some great feedback from me and your colleagues here. So that's the main thing this week is that draft, and then the final will be due next Sunday night, right? So you'll have a week to work on that. So what else is due? I'm asking you to do a small discussion, right? Just weigh in on some of the readings this week. I've given you a introduction strategies reading. We'll look at that in a second. And I just want you to sort of rewrite your introduction, right? You know, like 100 words, 200 words, using one of those strategies. And the strategies should be clear, right? I should be able to know, your reader should be able to know, oh, this is a counter argument introduction, or this is a finding a gap counter argument. So we'll take a look at those in a second, but that's the main part of this discussion. And then, do you have any questions about how to narrow a topic or using MyBib or EasyBib? And I have a great video that just deconstructs how to use MyBib or EasyBib. Folks, MyBib or EasyBib, it's like a calculator for your works cited, right? You don't have to do it anymore. You just plug in your source information, and EasyBib or MyBib spits it out like a calculator. So there's really no excuse anymore for, I don't know how to do a works cited page, because we have a calculator for it and it's free online. So take a look at that video. So easy. It explains everything. Let's take a look at the things this week. Let's take a look at the introduction strategies. This is a really cool reading. I love this reading. A lot of us may not be aware of these different types of intro strategies, right? These are what professional readers use to start any type of professional writing project, right? If they're writing journalism or sociology, anthropology, biologists would use this, right? I've read a lot of scientists who they start by reviewing previous items of research. That's right, number 3, if you want to use number 3, or indicating a gap, right? A microbiologist or an ecologist would be like, okay, this is what previous scientists have said. They've missed this one thing, and we're going to fill in a gap. We're going to fill that gap in with this new report that we're publishing. So use one of these techniques. Right? You can claim centrality. What does that mean to claim centrality? That's, okay, there's been a spate of interest. A lot of researchers, writers, critics, scholars have been writing about a certain thing. For example, there's been a spate of interest in writing about propaganda in television shows. Propaganda is propaganda that promotes cops as heroes, as relatable, as family men and family women, right? As lives that we should pay attention. Like look at their beautiful families. Look how they do it for their families. Rather than, okay, we don't get that sort of level of interest in the people that are shot by cops on TV shows or aggressed or have their civil rights violated. Right? So that's propaganda according to critics, right? They give that definition. And you can, agree or disagree if that's going on in our current TV shows. But that would be me claiming centrality, right? There's been a spate of interest. There's been a lot of interest in the portrayal of cops in TV shows by researchers and writers, right? So you could use that one. I like the counterclaiming one just because I like to, be a contrarian. That's sort of my personality. So what is that one? Let's zoom in, right? This is where you basically go against, right? This would be the I disagree, right? So it's very similar to that I agree, I disagree, or both, right? You're disagreeing in a counterclaim, right? So you could be like, okay, write that article we looked at on the laugh track, right? Critics look at the laugh track. They say it coerces us to laugh at inappropriate things. But, right, I want to argue against that. I want to show how the laugh track can actually bring a society together. They can get us to agree through laughter on some really challenging things. And for example, I think of Will and Grace and other LGBTQ themed shows. Several of them have a laugh track, and they brought audiences around to the fact that gay marriage is normal. There's nothing to be afraid about, right? These are everyday people, right? So it helped cut the stigma and the stereotypes against gay people. So, and this is my original argument, right? And I did that by going against that little abstract reading we had on the laugh tracks, which says laugh tracks are bad. And I'm saying, no, wait. Yeah, mostly they're bad, but maybe I argue they can also be used for good, and they have. And I'm going to look at some of these LGBTQ themed shows to back me up on that. So that's the counterclaiming, right? Indicating a gap, right? If I'm looking at propaganda, right? Okay, a lot of researchers are writing about propaganda on adult TV shows. I think it's obvious that the show Cops, which has been canceled because it's racist, was a form of propaganda. Many critics sort of prove that. But I want to indicate a gap, right? What is a gap? It's something that's missing, something that's not been written about, something that's not being talked about. And I think the gap there is, I think there's some propaganda on some kids shows, right? Like Paw Patrol. I don't know if you have any kids in your life, but they are all obsessed with Paw Patrol. That show for kids has little animals dressed up as little cops, right? Solving little problems and busting little criminals. So I think that's an early sort of form of propaganda that shows that cops are good, right? That they are completely like a positive force in our society, and that kids should grow up to be cops. And I think that that's really problematic when you're aiming propaganda at children, right? Adults, yeah, you can handle it. If you watch NCIS, if you watch all of those cop shows, Forensic Files, any shows with like cops in the background, you know, if you're an adult watching those, you should be able to like filter out what's real and not real. But kids, come on. I don't know if they can handle that in a kid's shows. Kids don't have that level of cognitive assessment. Okay, so those are the intro strategies, right? I just went through a few of those. I also give you a really interesting little slideshow I made. It was my first slideshow ever, my PowerPoint from 10 years ago. That's why it looks like it's from kindergarten. So it shows you how to narrow a topic, right? And you should narrow all those categories: the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how. If you haven't narrowed all those things in your paper, chances are you don't have a strong argument. Because if you don't nail down the who, the what, the where, the why, right, you're not having a solid argument. A solid, narrow, specific argument will focus all of those things, okay? You have to narrow all of those. If you don't, you have a very broad argument, and broad, general arguments are not arguable, okay? Very specific, narrowed arguments are arguable. You can prove that. You can't prove general statements. So take a look at that narrowing PowerPoint if that helps you. And again, we've got this MyBib. Take a look at that. It's a great little video on how to use MyBib, EasyBib. They're the same thing. And lastly, I want to show you guys, I'm getting a lot of drafts that are still pointing out stereotypes on TV. I'm just going to say this. It is a fact that most, many, or all, see how I used a qualifier there to qualify my argument, most, many, or all TV shows have stereotypes. That is not an argument. That is a generalization. So if you're making that kind of argument, don't do it. You need to narrow, you need to focus. Go back to some of the readings I gave you, or the videos, where I show you how to use your major to be more specific. Okay, so let me give one more example of this. Let's say you're really into all this crime TV, right? So if you're interested in writing about cops or NCIS or Forensic Files or Law and Order, you're not going to go to Google Scholar and plug in Forensic Files or Law and Order or NCIS, right? That's going to give you a very specific argument about that. You want to pull back and be like, okay, those are all the genre of crime dramas. So I plug in crime drama, okay, into Google Scholar, and you'll see I get crime drama, right? And I would look for a more recent one, at least from 2018, right? And then I would read through some of these and apply some of these ideas to a new show, right? That maybe just came out. So that's one way to work. Another way to work is, okay, crime drama often talks about violence and policing, right? That's the normal conversation. But they don't really talk about religion, right? So I want to do crime drama and religion. And I start getting some of these ideas. So I can apply these ideas now to a current crime drama show, right? You're going to make a new argument you're putting things together, you're making new connections. Crime drama, religion, right? I'm not just writing about violence and cops, which a lot has been written about. So I'm getting away from that. Something else I can do is, what about something completely different? Crime drama, the environment. Let's see if there's anything on this. There's a little bit. Yeah, right. So here you see I've got ecology, right, in crime drama. Right, so I think this article would have a little bit to say about, okay, what about the environment, the ecology, climate change in a crime drama, right? That's a very interesting question. Like, how do those shows portray those two things side by side? Let me also plug in the environment, see if I can get more. Ecological crime fiction. Here we go. This is fascinating. I want to know what the heck that's about, right? And then I would read this, right? This is my main source. And, click on this. You can see the difference, right? Let me pull up the whole thing, right? I'm not using internet sources, people. And again, avoid internet sources. This one is about 12 to 15 pages long, right? Look at all the facts here. Look at all of the careful, nuanced, careful work that's been done. Look at all the sources that this article uses. This is a good source, right? Look at all that, right? They've got like 20 references. I trust this. This is reliable. I would read this, and this is gonna teach me about ecological crime fiction, whatever that is, and then I can take these ideas, right, from who's the author of this, right? Samantha Walton, and I can apply Walton's ideas to, okay, let me understand ecological crime fiction in NCIS or Law and Order or any of the latest ones that have just come out. That is going to be a new argument, right? I can assure you these new ideas have not been applied to those shows. This thing came out only a couple years ago. So that's called doing new scholarship, new research, right? It's like the scientific method, right? You have to look at what's been done, what hasn't been done. And right, this class is all about creativity and taking risks. So I think that's a great way to work. Something else you can do, right? Look at environmental crime in Latin American crime fiction. Awesome. You can apply that to a crime TV, right? You can look at a Spanish language show. Okay, folks, that's it for this week. If you have any questions, email me. Thank you.